Promise David might be out of the World Cup. He'll have surgery to repair a ruptured tendon in his hip after coming out of Royal Union Saint-Gilloise match on the weekend when he scored and then was stretchered off not long after. It didn't look good, and the news is worse. It's going to be a 3 to 5 month timeline, according to TSN's Matthew Schnetti, friend of the show. 3 months puts him in contention for the World Cup. 5 months, we start to get a little bit concerned, and I think we're concerned anyways, because this was a player that was scoring more than any other Canadian striker right now. He was looking good. He's been extremely durable over the past 2 years that he's found this immense success, and he's showed that he can score with Canada as well. He was in line probably to start the World Cup with how things were going, and now it's a question of is he fit enough for the World Cup, and even if he is fit enough, like how much can he play?
Well, the World Cup starts in 3.5 months. So you talk about 4 to 5. If he's on that side, forget about it. Because, I mean, ideally, he's fit enough when the team is named to at least train and be around the group. It doesn't have to be 30-minute fit. But then there's the question of how much does an 80%, 70%, 60%, who knows what percent Promise David, how much better is that than the other options? And the reality is Canada is a bit deep at striker in the sense of numbers, right? Like Daniel Jebison is a guy who's been on the fringes. A healthy Theo Bear. Exactly. He's scoring lately. A healthy Theo Bear when he returns from his injury, offers you a bit more of a similar profile in terms of size. And obviously he was in great form. Jason Russell-Rowe, we mentioned, is on the fringes. Kyle Aaron's been trying to find his form back at Southampton. Promise David is unique enough. He's enough of a unicorn. He can give you enough value in 20 minutes of play that I think an injured Promise David might get a little more leeway than, say, like if it was an injured midfielder where you're looking at them like, I need 60 to 90 out of you. So I think it's going to be a different discussion, but there are a lot of questions, and especially it leaves no margin for error, because if there's any margin for error, he would miss out. What I will say with the timeline, I think this is something, if there's no World Cup, he's shut down for the season, obviously, and is fine for the summer. I don't know. I just can't help but think and look at this. Like, I think he'll be at the World Cup. I don't know why I would say that. It's more of a gut feeling, but I think with it being on the 3 months timeline, he'll push. This is the opportunity of a lifetime for any player. But I just feel like, yeah, on that same side of the coin, we're not going to see 100% of Promise David, and that's a shame, because 100% of Promise David could have been an absolute difference maker at the World Cup, whereas it could go either way now. He could have a really tough tournament, or he surprises us and recovers quickly. But the fact that there's that risk, that question there, hurts from Jesse Marsch's perspective, because Promise David felt like one of those sure things in terms of the team of what he could expect, and that just adds another variable to a team that's already dealing with a lot of them.
And with Promise David as well, I mean, maybe there is a bit of a silver lining in the fact that the 20-minute role has been his role with the Canadian national team for the most part, in terms of where he's been effective, because he hasn't necessarily had the complete tactical trust of Jesse Marsch just yet. And maybe if he comes back in and he is that 20-minute player again, we've seen that he can score in that impact.
Well, exactly. That's why it changes the equation completely. That if he can, and it's not even like a question of if he can run. It's a quite like, what's nice is he's a big body who's good and has good movement, good in the air. He's not necessarily always as reliant on his straight line speed as obviously he is a force in transition and he uses it, but you see some of his goals, right? He has good movement. He finds himself in the box, so that if he is mobile enough to do that, there is some value there. Obviously with Tani Oluwaseyi too, that's another thing where this probably cements him as a starting striker. But yeah, the hope is you can bring Promise David off the bench, because there will be value there provided he's fit enough to move around and make himself useful.
It's a lot of injuries, though, for the Canadian men's national team, and it feels like we're not going to be able to see this team fully prepare for the World Cup. Like, how much confidence do you have if this is, effectively the 2025 version of the team, where you're trotting out Richie Laryea as one of the best players when it comes to the World Cup? Like, at this point, do you think that Canada makes it out of the group given the available players at their disposal?
I think they make it out of the group. Let's not. I won't go that extreme. Like, this is still the 2026 World Cup, where there's 48 teams, which is absurd, and essentially the math is you win a game and you get out. And I don't think like, I think you're going to need to lose a lot of players before I'm sitting at a point where I'm thinking you're not beating Qatar. I don't know. I don't know if that's harsh or unfair to Qatar, but genuinely, based on what we've seen of them, and maybe it's shaded as well, but Canada in 22, where I think that was a worse version of where this team is now, they beat Qatar pretty handily. Like, I just think Canada beats Qatar, and that alone should mathematically get them through, especially if they get a draw against a Switzerland or a Italy/Wales/ whoever else they end up getting. So I don't think it goes quite that extreme, but I think there are a bunch of worries about what this team needs to do. Like, this team's going to need to be good defensively. And the reality is their first choice back line, A, we don't even know what it is anymore because so much has changed in the last few years. And B, we haven't seen whatever that is work together. We haven't seen Bombito in a year. We haven't seen Davies in a year. We haven't seen Johnson in 6 months. Jones has barely gotten involved and then he got injured. Derek Cornelius, we haven't seen in a while. Like, there hasn't been enough time to build chemistry. And then, that's a big underlying factor. And then now in the attack, some of the questions that it felt like we were about to answer, like Promise David versus Tanya Loache, some of these others just kind of got thrown out the window with this Promise David injury.